Strongly encourage everyone to attend our meetings remotely. Should you have a need to attend in person, we will make a remote location available upon a reservation request by you to this office no later than 2 business days in advance of the meeting date. I apologize, some of that was a little bit repetitive, but I appreciate everybody's patience in going through the COVID-19 review. At this point, I'll officially call the meeting to order at 6:09 p.m. Again, my name is Tom Lee. I'm the chairman of the Alton Zoning Board, and I'll just go around starting with my left and have the members introduce themselves, and then we'll see who is out there remotely. Introduce yourself.
Paul LaRochelle, Selectman's representative.
Frank Rich.
Jessica Call, town planner.
Tim Morgan, member.
Okay. Are there any board members, alternate on the Zoom link or calling in remotely? Okay. At this point, we'll get into an appointment of any alternates. We do not have any alternates present, so there will be no appointment of alternates. And then we'll get into the statement of the appeals process. I'll read through this paragraph, and then we'll get into the agenda and our cases tonight. The statement of the appeal process. The purpose of this hearing is to allow anyone concerned with an appeal to the Zoning Board of Adjustment to present evidence for or against the appeal. This evidence may be in the form of an opinion rather than an established fact. However, it should support the grounds which the board must consider when making a determination. The purpose of the hearing is not to gauge the sentiment of the public or to hear personal reasons why individuals are for or against the appeal, but all facts and opinions based on reasonable assumptions will be considered. In the case of an appeal for a variance, the board must determine the facts bearing upon the 5 criteria as set forth in the state statutes. For special exception, the board must ascertain whether each of the standards set forth in the zoning ordinance have been or will be met. Okay, at this point, we would typically go to our zoning officer in regards to the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda, Jessica?
So, yes, I actually got a little excited because I know Paul Monzioni always comments that there's never any other business. So I got excited I have other business, and now he's not here.
Okay.
So I do have some things to add under new business. I just wanted to be able to follow up with you guys on some of the committees. So I wanted to just add a conversation, real quickly later on. Under A, was that committee. B, I just wanted to give you guys an update on the Alternative Housing Committee. C, just talk about the CIP real quick. And D, I just wanted to follow up with you guys on Dropbox and possibly using tablets at meetings provided by the town. And one other thing, under the adjournment, it still says Frank Rich as chairman, so I just wanted to clarify it's Tom Lee as chairman.
Okay, thank you.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All in favor of motion to approve? Aye, Tom Lee.
Aye, Paul LaRochelle.
Aye, Frank Rich. Aye, Tim Morgan.
Okay, we have an approval of the agenda. I'll now get into reading the cases. We'll take one at a time. I'm going to begin with asking who is out there representing. The first case we'll be looking at is case number Z21-11, Patricia L. O'Leary, the owner, at 1787 Mount Major Highway, map 66, lot 7. This is a special exception in the rural zone. Special exception is requested from Article 300, Section 320H of the zoning ordinance to permit the expansion of a non-conforming structure to add 200 square feet to the upstairs bedrooms above the current existing first floor living space. So with that, I will see who we have online. Patricia, have you joined us?
I'm here.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Okay, are you by yourself or do we have any other parties?
No, it's just me.
Okay, all right. Well, welcome, Patricia.
Thank you.
We have your information. It looks like we will go through a step here just to make sure the application can be approved.
I did have a question. Maybe you can help me. Do you know what committee this was that made a comment?
Conservation.
Conservation.
Yes.
That's conservation?
Yes.
Thank you.
I had the same question.
Make a motion to, accept case B 21-11 as complete.
Second it?
Okay, all in favor?
Tim Morgan, aye.
Tom Lee, aye.
Paul LaRochelle, aye.
Frank Rich, aye.
Okay, Patricia, the application's been accepted.
Thank you.
Yep, with that, I'm going to give you the floor, and if you could go through as far as what the details are of your case you're representing here for a special exception in the rural zone.
Okay, so I purchased this house in October, and obviously it's in disrepair, so it's coming down piece by piece. The front of the porch is flat. It was a year-round room. It was livable. It had heat, it had electric, it had insulation. And I just want to move the bedrooms that are existing upstairs just out to the front, just to meet the end of that porch. I'm not looking to add anything more to the square footprint. I'm simply just making the bedrooms come over that flat roof that you can see in those pictures. About 200 square feet, that's it. Not looking to do anything to the existing home at all, except for make it look better.
Okay, where the existing home sits, Patricia, the red line on the map here that was a boundary plan that was drawn up, is that just the boundary line, the red line?
On the
Building envelope?
survey by Paul,
Yes.
that's the state easement line, I think, where it says part of the house. I think that's, I'm not really sure. I'm new at all this, and I'm kind of doing this on my own. So the person that could answer that would be probably the building inspector.
My plan doesn't show a red line, Mr. Chairman. What else are you talking about?
This one here.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would think that the red lines that are the triangle are probably the setbacks.
Setback.
Right.
And I don't know what that other line is that's
How do
going.
you? Yeah, this one here. you're
Yeah, there's a curved line in the middle of the triangle. I'm not sure I know what that curved line is.
There was mention of, that would have anything to do with the setback for the, what would have been the train right of way.
It might have been the right-of-way of the railroad.
Right.
Yeah. But I do believe that the triangle red
Yeah,
are the setbacks that are required by that.
I agree with that.
I agree.
I agree with that.
So Patricia, this is Tom Lee. So you just stated you're building up on the existing home. You're keeping the footprint.
I'm keeping the house footprint exactly the same. Everything's going to look exactly the same, except for where that flat shed roof is. I just want to gable out the front so it looks like your typical New Englander. No porch on the front, because there's stairs there now. I'm just going to put granite steps in the front and just make it so it looks good, not a half shed, half house.
Patricia, I've driven by, I noticed that the construction basically has started. Looks like the roof has been removed.
Yes.
Am I correct on that? And
Yes.
it's out, the roof has been removed, second floor is now gone. So what you are intending on doing is building the whole second floor to go over the existing first floor roof, coming out, changing the roof angle completely that you have on there now and turning it so that the pitch is facing the road. Am I correct on that?
Right. Yeah, so like I said, I'm just gabling out the front. I wish my contractor was here to tell you more. Yeah, just basically making 200 square more feet over the existing porch, not going out, not going to the side, keeping the exact footprint. Nothing's changing.
But you will be raising the roof height from the current 22 feet to 28 feet, correct?
Right. On the shed porch, right?
Well, it'd be the whole roof as a whole.
The whole roof, right, right, all the way across, right. So
You're taking the roof level down to the first floor wall height and reconstructing the whole second floor.
right. To match,
And raise 28.
right.
A question for you. I'm looking at your floor plan, okay, that shows a porch that's 8 foot by 18 feet. And I'm trying, is that the overhang of where your stairs come up? Is that porch the overhang of on the second floor?
I'm not sure I know what you're saying.
Okay,
So-
there's, you have a
I see the front of the house, and you mean the overhang that's hanging out over the windows in the front.
yes,
Okay, I believe that's gonna not be there. I think that we're just going straight up. I don't believe that's, because we're keeping the foundation the way it is. So that overhang, however many feet that is not gonna be there. We're going straight up from the foundation.
okay,
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, can I speak to Frank's question?
Absolutely.
So, in John's staff review, it's on this one sentence on the back page. And it says, the proposed deck at the front of the house shown on the plan is not going to be built.
that's what,
Okay.
and I saw that.
Okay.
And I was just about to ask her that question, okay, because the plan shows the porch.
Correct.
So,
Right,
but that is not,
the building plan, but not on the plan that,
it's not on this.
Right.
yeah, and it's not on the plan from
Okay.
Paul's office.
Right, so I just want to make sure that we clarify that because,
I think I had that on my list as well.
you know, because it is on the plan.
Yes, it is.
Correct.
Okay. So, and
gonna ask.
John said that, in his report, that there will be no porch. So I'm gonna ask you that question. There will, Tricia, there will be no porch, is that
It's not going
correct?
to be built.
No, there will be no porch in the front. The reason why I put that there was because in the plans I submitted to John, it said a porch. So I didn't know what to do. So I just left it there. But when I spoke with John, I said, eliminate that front porch. Yes, completely eliminated. Just going to be a flat front house, granite stairs going in on the left of the house. So yeah, no front porch. Sorry about that. I should have made that clear.
I was just gonna ask that question myself.
It's okay, don't worry about it, okay? That's why we're here to ask questions and clarify.
Thank you. I just wanted to, okay,
No, you're doing fine, okay?
thank you.
Okay, you're doing fine. Yeah.
All right. That clarifies
That
what?
clarifies that.
That's,
That was a concern of mine,
I was gonna ask the same thing after about that and not seeing that last sentence on the second page, that was not gonna be included, so.
well, knowing John, I checked the second page.
I didn't see that second page.
Okay. Of course, he's not here to defend himself, which I'll probably catch that later. You know? I have no other questions.
No.
all right. So my question is, we're adding an additional 200 square feet, and that just, it's not registering in my head. Maybe somebody can help me clarify. The current structure and what the square footage was, it was detailed in here, I believe it was 517 square feet on the bottom. Okay. The first floor being 717 square feet. The existing second floor is 517 square feet. So that's where I assume you're finding the 200 other square feet is to cover the rest of the top of the house.
Yes.
The porch issue, just for the record, the 8 by 18-foot porch is not going to be part of this plan,
No.
which would have been a major problem as it would have extended into the right of way. And,
Right.
okay,
It would have been an issue.
okay.
Yeah, you can erase that.
No, that's fine. I'm glad we got it clarified. Are there any other questions or concerns from the board? Okay. At this point, I'll open the hearing up to any public input of anybody who may be on the call. Any public input in favor of this special exception? Nothing, okay. We have no response from public input in favor. Is there any public input against the special exception? Any public input against? Again, we have a no. Okay. At this point, we'll close the hearing to any public input. Patricia, do you have anything else you'd like to add before we get into our worksheet?
No, just thank you very much for taking it into consideration.
Tricia, did you see any comments that were, the Conservation Commission, had to say, about the adding of the 200 square feet in the area? Did you see anything, a comment? from
Yeah,
the
I
department head?
saw what they said, but it doesn't really pertain to me because I'm not doing anything except I'm using the same footprint that I'm on. I'm not going off the footprint of the house. So I'm not compromising anything.
We just have to always review, any comments from any of the department heads or any of the departments and their concerns.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment of the Conservation Commission's comment. I absolutely do not understand his reasoning, and maybe, we're here to try to help applicants. His usage of his words could have been a little bit more kind. No justification to make a non-conforming lot more so.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what he's saying, but we aren't changing the footprints at all.
No.
Okay, it's only going up.
And that's what needs to be brought out so he understands, if he's attending remotely or anything tonight.
Right. It's not like there's not any additions, there's nothing going into the, it's not encroaching any more than it is right now, okay? In terms of being non-conforming, I guess that's a technical non-conforming, but. Okay.
Nope, duly noted. I appreciate the board members bringing that up in regards to the Conservation Committee. The comments were on the record and duly noted that he see no justification to make a non-conforming lot more non-conforming, which the lot is not becoming more non-conforming, it's staying within the footprint, although it is gaining in height, which will be addressed on the worksheet. Patricia, my last comment before we go forward, so are you adding bedrooms to the house?
No, the 2 bedrooms are already there in the front. I'm just making them longer. That's it.
Okay. And I note on your application for the special exception, Bonnie Engineering is finishing the septic design as of 4/12/2021.
Yes, they did finish it, but they have to redo a portion of it because they didn't take into consideration that I may eventually want to put a 2-car garage on the property. So they have to redo the design a little bit. May has to tweak it a little bit. But it hasn't been submitted to the state.
Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns from the board?
It does have a septic system right now. It does have a septic system right now.
Oh, yes, it's on somebody else's property.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. So that took quite a while. So the septic, there's a septic next to the house, and the well is actually all the way behind, what's his name? Will, I think his name is, like the next door over. So yeah, the well is not even on the property.
That's
Which is-
currently has a septic system, right?
What was that?
Currently, right now, it currently has a septic system
Yeah.
that is running, yes?
No, yes, it has a septic and it has a well.
Okay, great.
So water and septic is usable now at this time.
Is usable right now, right?
Well, it is, but if you, I mean, I wouldn't want to use it.
And then Patricia, the point you made about Bonnie Engineering, they designed it. And then as far as the design and everything, it hasn't gone through the state for approval, but it's the same amount of bedrooms, but there's going to be a change going forward. So if I heard you correctly, the position of the septic will have to be moved to afford the opportunity to get that garage in there. Is that correct?
No, there was a question on poorly drained wetlands on the side. They weren't sure, they had no idea, well, they knew I was putting the garage in, but they forgot. So when they did the plan, they forgot that I was potentially thinking of a future 2-car garage. So I'm not really sure where that stands. May just told me to sketch in where I wanted the garage. So with the existing septic and what my contractor, Sean Sanders, said, the septic shouldn't have to be moved. But there has
New
to,
design septic system, you mean, doesn't have to be moved, is what they're saying.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Sorry, the new design septic system would not have to be moved because of the garage, is what you're saying?
Right, no, it shouldn't. Everything should be fine. I mean, I'm just trying to read what May wrote. I mean, if I can read to you what she said to me real quick. She just said, gosh, of course I put it away. She wrote, "Hi, I did not show a new garage on the septic plan. Would you mind sketching it in on the design, taking a picture and emailing it to me? If the new garage is in the shoreland zone, which I'm not sure and doubtful it would be, you'd need a shoreland permit, but I don't think you're in those boundaries. I'd like to see where you'd like to put the garage and if that's something you may need."
Okay.
I just didn't want to have to, like, eventually I'd like to have a garage and eventually take down that shed that's sitting on state property. You know, kind of
No,
make,
understood.
yeah, get this property looking nice.
This is not in front of the board, this new, garage.
No.
It's something that may get proposed, but the applicant is asking for, the special exception for this, and I believe she's indicated that it does have septic and it does have water. So, if at a later date she wants to put a house there, she's gonna need to come to, the town and the board probably to put that garage if there's, for a permit or for any variance that she may need or special exception she may.
It's not a problem, but for, as far as the state is concerned, they always like to know each and every structure that's going to be on the lot prior to the design of the septic system. They'd like to know, so that's why May, or if you will, Barney Engineering wanted to know so that the state will be aware that you would be having a garage and where its location would be in reference to the home, water source, and the septic design.
Right. When they did the design, they forgot that's what we wanted, what I wanted, but that's okay.
But it does come up on our worksheet through the special exception specifically about sewage.
Yes.
You know, we need to, I think, met that out now before we get into the worksheet, as far as even possibly becoming a contingency on.
Condition.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm gonna put a garage there. I mean, I gotta get through this house first.
No, that's, the garage, I think Frank, Rich, the board member, cleared that piece up. That's a
yeah.
separate issue down the road. But
Yeah,
the other issue, or the bigger issue we're just talking through now is the septic piece. And you had mentioned the septic is actually, it's an old system, it's not even on the property, it is working, your words, and now you're having a new septic design put in through Vonnie Engineering, same bedrooms, so there's not concern there, but it's just a concern that we don't want to go forward approving a special exception without a condition in place, in my opinion, as long as that septic is approved. So,
May I add to that, it is a two-bedroom septic design that is being sought after.
no, it's a three bedroom. The house is zoned, it's a 3-bedroom home. It's zoned 3-bedroom home.
Okay.
On,
So
yeah,
it's a three-bedroom design.
specified that. And like I said, and this garage could be 10 years down the road. I'm just looking to get the house up. And I am putting a whole new well and a whole new septic.
understood. Okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion or concern?
Just, that it has to be a condition, in my opinion, of approval of the septic design.
Okay. All right, well, at this point then, Patricia, you're all set. We'll then go through the worksheet.
Okay.
All right, Paul, could you start us off with the special exception worksheet on KZ 21-11?
Yes. The plat has been submitted in accordance with the appropriate criteria in Article 500, Section B, 520B. Yes.
I agree. Frank Rich?
I agree, Tim Morgan.
I agree, Tom Lee. Please.
The specific site is the appropriate location for the use. I believe it's the appropriate location for the use and what the applicant is trying to do, on the second floor.
I agree, the use is not changing, Tim Morgan.
I agree, Tom Lee.
I agree for the same reasons, Paul LaRochelle.
Factual evidence has not found the property values in the district will be reduced due to incompatible land uses. There wasn't any evidence with respect to property values, but I would gather from the application that probably any other property would be enhanced by the improvement in this home.
I agree, Tom Lee.
I agree, Paul LaRochelle.
For all those same reasons, I agree, Frank Rich.
There is no valid objection from abutters based on demonstrable fact. We have an abutters list. We had an open forum for or against with no valid objections.
I agree.
I agree.
Tim Morgan, I agree.
There is no undue nuisance or serious hazard to pedestrian or vehicular traffic, including the location and design of the access ways and off and on street parking. None of this is changing in any way for this application.
Frank Rich, I agree.
Tim Morgan, I agree.
Tom Lee, I agree.
Facilities. Adequate and appropriate facilities and utilities will be provided to ensure proper operation of the proposed use and construction. The applicant is only adding a second floor. The utilities and the facility itself all exist today. So I see the proper operation, the proper uses is being used as it is today. It's just an addition.
I agree, Tim Morgan.
I agree, Tom Lee.
I agree for the same reason, Paul LaRochelle.
There is adequate area for safe and sanitary sewage disposal and water supply. It's a fair-sized lot and should have room for sewage and has water already.
I agree, Tom Lee.
I agree. Paul Rochelle?
I agree, Frank Rich.
Proposed use or structure is consistent with the spirit of this ordinance and the intent of the master plan. It should be an upgrade to that area, that property. I believe it's in accordance with the spirit of the master plan.
I agree.
Frank Rich, I wholeheartedly agree.
Paul Rochelle?
Morgan, I agree.
Okay, any other discussion from the board?
I move that we approve application Z21-11.
Okay,
You, Mr. Tim, should we be putting a condition
I'd
on?
like to pose a condition, certainly.
Yes, I would like to impose a condition that this is contingent on this decision tonight on safe and sanitary septic system state approval.
I'll make the same motion for acceptance with that condition.
okay, we have a second?
Second it?
Okay, all in favor?
Paul Rochelle, aye.
Frank Rich, aye.
Morgan, aye.
Tom Lee, aye.
Chairman, I think
Yes.
you explained to her that there's a condition on here.
Yes. Okay, Patricia, at this point, it's been accepted, it's been approved under one condition. I think you overheard the discussion, but just to clarify, is what we brought up before we got into the worksheet. The sewage has to be approved by the state as far as the sewer is concerned. It has to be approved septic. That was currently there, 3-bedroom to a current 3-bedroom. And as long as that gets approved, then this all goes forward. Do you understand that piece of it?
Yeah, so I now have to contact Varney. Is that what I have to do? And get them to push it through the state before I can start doing, any building?
Yes, you need to get it approved by the state as far as the septic is concerned, and then we can go forward. You're approved as far as a special exception.
So if this goes to the state and it takes months and months, we can't build anything on that property for months and months? I mean,
It shouldn't take that long. Once they submit, you should hear within a week
okay,
or
all
less.
right, okay. Okay,
And they will tell you that.
okay. I'm just really, okay,
Yeah, and you're not going forward on that piece by yourself. You have a very skilled professional working for you as far as Mr. Varney is concerned. So
Oh,
he's very knowledgeable about those rules and regulations. So I don't think you're gonna see any unforeseen amount of delays going forward.
okay, yeah, they're great. Yeah, they're great people.
All right, well, congratulations, and that will conclude case Z21-11. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thumbs up. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, at this point, we will go forward to case Z21-12. Jones and Beach Engineers, agent for Sadco Site Development LLC, and applicant John Mataroso Jr., the owner. Located at Suncook Valley Road, map 9, lot 6, special exception in the rural zone. A special exception is requested from Article 400, Section 401 of the zoning ordinance to permit boat storage and contractor equipment storage in the rural zone. So at this point, I'll reach out. Was the parties at Jones and Beach Engineers represented here on the call?
Yes, this is Brad Jones. I'm with Jones and Beach Engineers.
Okay, good evening, Brad, and anybody else? I can see one of
Al
those.
Schrader, I'm representing Sadco Site Development, the applicant.
Okay.
Dave Fuller, Sadco Site Development.
Okay, Mr. Fuller. All right,
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
Brad?
Yes.
Hi, Jessica. Did you get a chance to, talk to, Mr. Matarazzo about the
Did.
agent letter?
I did, and I
Okay.
sent over an email to you
Okay.
a little while ago, and John did agree that both Dave and Al he could speak on his behalf for his property.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, just wanted to clarify that there was, when I reviewed the case, in my opinion, I felt that there was an agent letter that was missing from Mr. Matarazzo, allowing Mr. Fuller and the attorney to talk on his behalf.
Okay.
And he did email me out of here.
Okay. All right, duly noted. All right, at this point, we'll go through and review and make a motion to approve the application. Just please give us a minute.
Sure.
I'm gonna make a motion to accept case Z 21-12 is complete.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, all in favor of accepting the application of case C 21-12?
Rich, aye.
And Morgan, aye.
Tom Lee, aye.
Paul LaRochelle, aye.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, the application has been accepted. If you'd like to, I'll turn it over to one of you, whether it's Brad or Mr. Fuller or the attorney, and step through the case, and we'll hear what you need to have to say.
That's great. Yeah, what I can do, I could kind of go through the property and kind of give you a synopsis of what's going on with that. I did want to pull up a drawing, and I don't know if you have to give me permission or.
Nope, that's fine.
Okay, good. It worked. Amazing. So the property is located up off of Suncook Valley Road, Route 28, and it actually abuts the New Hampshire Co-op property. And if you look at my plan, I did highlight it, make it a little more visible. This lower road is Emerson Drive, and then
Excuse me, Brad, we're not, I don't know if you shared your screen. We don't see the drawing.
you don't.
Hang
Okay.
on one- It could be on our end. We're checking it right now.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, is that working?
No.
Not yet.
It's getting there.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right, we're having some technical difficulties, but we do have the plan, the plat in front of us.
Okay.
We could step through it if you'd like.
Yeah, so what, I'm gonna close this out if it, okay, are we still there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I lost the screen, but. Okay, Yeah, so the property is located off of Route 28 and Suncook Valley Road. The property itself is 17.71 acres in size, and it's in the rural zone. And what we're looking for is to put boat storage, and on our plans, we show 2 buildings, which would be inside boat storage. And one of the buildings is 96,600 square feet. And that's the building in the rear. And the building in the front is 26,400 square feet. And we did submit some drawings and plans and architectural plans, kind of give you an idea what those buildings would look like. There'll also be a small office that's going to be at the beginning of the access road, and that'll have its own small septic system and have a well to support the office itself. The storage buildings themselves will not require any sewer or water, so there'll be no demand for that. We also showed an area on the east side, and that's for outdoor storage, and it's really a gravel pad, and it's graded, so there's kind of 2 grades to it, kind of steps itself down, and that's shown on the west side of the property. And the property itself has already had a wetland permit approved for entrance road. The entrance road was built, the culvert was installed. So we're proposing no impact to the wetlands on the property. We're basically going to be able to build in there without, there is a wetland on the property in the rear, and we're going to leave that as is with no impact. And we've actually going to do a voluntary buffer on that wetland and increase the size of I think the town requires 25 feet. So we're going to exceed that by 150 feet and try to protect that buffer back with a wetlands. And that is shown on the plan as kind of a wood line as far as that goes. The project will require AOT approval from the state. So we have not acquired that yet, of course. We've done the survey, and we're going to work forward once we get through the ZBA meeting, and then get permits into the state and start, working with the planning board to develop the plan. And right now it's pretty much a flat plan. Obviously we need some work on drainage and that type of thing. There is a DOT permit that exists today. We'll amend that for our use of property. And I think that kind of gives you a little summary, and I don't know if the board has any questions.
How you doing, Mr. Jones? It's Paul LaRochelle. Just clarifying one thing that I see on the tax map showing 23.19 acres, and you're saying it's 17 acres?
Yeah, the property has recently been, I don't know how recent, but it has been subdivided. So I did, actually I didn't highlight on your plan, but you'll see there's a kind of a pork chop look to the property. That access road itself it straddles the property line, and then it's going to feed both lots. So our lot would be, if you're driving in, would be on the right, and then the property to the left has been subdivided off, and the size of that is 5.49 acres, the remaining piece.
Okay. You're having 2 entrances?
We are showing on that plan an access off of Emerson Drive, and that's the New Hampshire Co-op property. So we still have obviously ironed that out with planning, but that's the intention, to have a second access to that property.
Yep.
Yeah. Brad, is that access off of Emerson Drive, is that the primary access, or is that more of like an emergency access?
I would say that is not the primary access. Yeah, we would come off of the state road off of 28 would be the primary access road.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to confirm that.
And this property is directly across from, electric co-op? Or are they further down?
It's beside it. So if you are driving back into town, you go by Emerson Drive, which is a gravel road for the power company. It's the next property, and you'll see the road's already in. I think there's a cable across it. Like I say, because they filled in that wetland once they got the permit, put the culvert in. So that road's already chiseled out. I think it goes in about 300 feet, and that exists today. Yep.
Thank you.
Brad, Rich, so the proposed boat storage, the 96,000 square feet, how high will that building be? What's the height of that building?
We are gonna stick with the town standard, town regulation. So it'll be a average height of 35 feet.
Average height of 35 feet.
Yes.
And the roof be pitched or flat?
It will have a pitched roof.
And what will be the pitched roof dimension? 5:1, 3:1?
It's a shallow pitch. I don't know if I have that information right now.
2 or 3 pitch.
2 to 3 pitch.
Read that. We have the plan. It's just a little hard to read. It is a pretty shallow pitched roof. So.
Yeah, pretty shallow. Okay. So the plan is to put these buildings up, which is pretty, that 96,000 square feet is pretty sizable. But in the back of that, it also looks like there is going to be a staging area for gravel, material stockpile, and whatnot. Is there also going to be a lot of construction equipment there? What is the planned use for that area?
I think one of the things during the construction, the contractor will need to, of course, Dave Fuller he owns Sadco Excavation, so he owns an excavation company. So as he's working, he'll need a staging area that's out of the way. And then I think the intention would be that, later there would be, maybe an excavator of some equipment and maybe a stockpile out in that area. That's why we've designated that as a separate area, and we've pushed that back as much as we could to the rear of the property. And the property itself has a nice roll or hill, so it'll be actually out of sight when you go by the Route 28. You're not gonna be able to visually look back and see back in there. So that area would be for that purpose.
It does say on the application, contractor's yard. What does that mean?
We'd store, in between jobs, if we have equipment that we need to a place to park them until we go to the next job, we're looking for a spot to park them. We're not looking to be twisting wrenches, taking things apart, anything like that on the property, just a place to set them until they move to the next spot.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yeah.
So what, you say that the major roadway will be getting a permitted roadway to the Route 28 through the new subdivided piece of property and this property. And Emerson Drive will be a secondary access only.
Yep.
What if you don't get the Route 28 permit, okay, from the state?
Well, no, the Route 28, there is a driveway permit that exists. And then the wetland permit has been approved, and then the driveway's been put in. So the driveway is approved. With the state, what they want to know is trips per day, and so the construction of that entrance would be the proper size, and obviously if we were building a Walmart, which we're not, but they would want a set of lights and all that. So the reason for the amendment is for the state to kind of look at that entrance and find out what the amount of traffic is and make sure that's adequate for what we're doing. So we will apply for that, and then we will get that approved, by the state. So, but right now there is in place a permit for access to the property.
That permit was for what use?
I may have it with me. If you give me a second, I can look that up. It does say to be used as a commercial drive. Any changes in use, increase in use, reconstruction of the driveway requires reapplication. So it's a little general, but it does call out for a commercial driveway. And we would, just knowing the state, we would resubmit. A lot of times when you get these permits, you might not be 100% sure of the use, but we will submit and get everything back to the state and make sure that they're satisfied with the use that we're proposing.
So do you need some sort of permission? The cut that goes now from Emerson Drive that you're talking about, are you going to need some sort of permission from the holder of that driveway? Is that
Dr. Co-op?
owned by the co-op?
I think it is owned by the co-op, and yes, we would approach them and so that if there was some kind of resistance, we could still work with the access that we have. I think it is nice to have a second access if you can. It seems like it's there, and then we would probably go after our utilities, which would be the power would come off of that Emerson Drive as well. So we did show that on the plan, I believe, that, and we would come in underground for that power off of Emerson Drive. So, but that discussion has not happened yet with the New Hampshire Co-op. So.
I'm just curious if I'm looking at this correctly and reading the abutters notices. There are homes on Emerson Drive that abut or next door to it, to the property itself. And from what I can see, even though I know this is a pretty wooded area, they're pretty close to those homes. Has the applicant had any kind of conversations with the abutters about this commercial enterprise in a rural zone?
The owner of the property has spoken with them in the past. And one of the homes back there as well, there's a steel building on it and a commercial style garage on it. And in John's conversations with them in years past, because he's owned the property quite a while, they've known the intention of the property was not residential, so they should be on the abutters list.
Yes, yep.
Yeah, they are. See that they're on the abutters list, but I'm not sure, did the applicant herself, or John actually speak to them about the depth and, what was being planned for this? Was there any kind of conversations about the current use of what the use was gonna be?
No.
And I will say that, the way we did increase the size of the buffer from the wetlands. And I've been out there, I actually get involved in the survey and went out and walked the property. And even without any leaves on the trees, if you're standing at the wetlands itself, it's very hard visibly to see even to that point. And then we've got an additional 150 feet. And one of the reasons we left that was it was what the owner would like to have seen that. And it also adds quite a buffer, so.
Brad, this is Tom Lee. I had a question on the
Sure.
side, depiction of the building. It's noted underneath 240 boats on racks, 80 boats under the rack. So is that accurate? Max boat, somewhere in the 320 range, 320 boats could be maxed out in there?
That's one of the buildings, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure the count. Do you have that? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, that's the smaller, let's see. That's the 200-foot building.
Is it okay?
Yeah. But, yeah.
And I'll say that we don't have an exact design on the buildings yet. So really the mission was to, just make sure we were on track with the use, and we realize that some of this is going to evolve, and also with planning, trying to get something aesthetically that looks good and that everyone's going to be happy with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Mr. Jones, Paul Larochelle again. Just going back to the storage buildings. Both these buildings, these are not heated and they're intended for seasonal use only, correct?
We are gonna propose to have them climate controlled. But it is gonna be a storage situation where the boats go in the fall, and then when it's ice out, the boats come out. So there's during a good portion of the year, there's gonna be no reason for traffic to be going in and out of there, towing boats in and out. Once they're in there, they come out in the spring. It's for storage only.
In the summer, this is intended to be empty?
Yes,
Buildings?
yes, the boats will come out, they'll go in the lake. Obviously, there'll probably be some stragglers that don't pick their boats up, but in general, there's, everybody that's putting their boat in the water is, their boat will be in the water. This is strictly for a winter storage situation, or if somebody wanted to store their boat year round, if they weren't going to use it anymore. But it's not going to be something where, we're going to be in and out every single weekend with boats in and out nonstop. That's not the intention.
You also mentioned in the application that you would have outdoor boat storage. Where is that?
So that's shown on our plan. That's the gravel parking area. That's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's out.
That's
it's
not-
that rear parking. Yeah.
That's not the construction part? That's all part of the boat storage?
Yeah, if you look at it, at the plan on the very far right of, if you're looking at the plan, that's the material and it's construction storage.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is
Okay.
kind of a small area, and then the rest of that is the outdoor storage. Yeah.
Where is he?
Right, he's talking about the gravel area over here.
Over here?
Yes,
Gravel parking?
yeah, right? Yeah,
Okay.
because I thought that was for the contractor, but that's also exterior boat storage. Correct?
Yes.
Privacy fence.
You also gonna have water, for these buildings as well? You're gonna be washing vehicle, any, anything like that?
No.
And Mr. Chairman? So there's not gonna be any service work done on these boats?
Not on site, no service work. It's for storage only.
Thank you.
Thank you. How far from the roadway would you say there? That's it's about an 18-foot setback?
20.
Yeah.
20, side setback. Right here, it says 20.
That dotted line is the 20?
No, yeah, the dotted line is the 20.
It's the 20, yeah. Paving to apron, so it says 20 feet from the dotted line.
Yep,
And so this building's gonna be about 40 feet. Am I
yep.
Yeah,
reading that right? I think
Yeah.
you're 40 feet.
yeah, you'd be close,
Close.
35, 40 feet. And there'll be a buffer on Emerson Drive.
Yes.
For the buildings, for those buildings.
Yeah.
as
Right
well
now. Right now, the property line itself is a stone wall. So that stone wall will remain, and then there'll be a small area, probably some of the trees will be try to keep, and then there'll be a strip, close to the building that obviously have to be cleared and graded. But we will try to achieve a buffer in there with a wooded buffer, yep.
Already been,
It's been cut.
it's been cut?
Looks like it. I mean, looks like somebody has in the past, went through it.
It has been logged, yes. Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of forestry there.
Along the wall there is.
Yeah, along the wall, it remains, and there are also trees on both sides of the wall too as well. The right of way itself, like Emerson Drive, doesn't necessarily follow exactly along the wall. So there's areas that are wider and narrower.
There is logging going on Mr. Matarazzo's property, isn't there not, Brad, or is it on that shared driveway? I thought I'd seen a logging company, an M&M Logging or something.
Yeah, they've been in. They have thinned out the property, absolutely. Yep. But they didn't. They did thin it out. They didn't.
Not recently, though.
Yep.
No, that's quite a while ago. Yeah, I think it was. Geez, it was years ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions or
I
concerns
have
from
a
the
couple
board?
of questions, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
What will the foundations of these buildings be like, and will there be any containment for spills and that kind of thing that may occur from stored vehicles, stored boats?
There'll be concrete frost walls and concrete slabs.
And anything to protect against spills for oil and fluids?
Yeah, we could,
Are there any catch?
I know we try to stay away from drains. The state does not like any kind of drains. I know I have done a work on a marina, and we actually did have a exterior catch basin. It was more of a wash facility, and then that went into a holding tank. So I mean, some of that design will evolve, but as far as like drains in there, I think maybe the concrete itself and the walls, maybe we will leave a lip at the entrance to kind of make sure if there was any leakage that it would be contained. It would not roll out of the building, if you will, you know.
And the other question is, how far is the small building, the 240-foot building from Suncook Valley Road?
435 feet.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or concerns from the board?
Last question. As far as the office is concerned, that is strictly an office with a bathroom, no bedrooms. This is strictly just an office building.
Yes, because I mean, you can see right now we've shown a very small footprint, so it's more just you know, to have a facility in there, a bathroom facility and a small office. That is the intention. Yep.
Anybody else from the board? Go ahead, Frank.
Yes. How about lighting and what is anticipated in terms of the lighting on the building and the surrounding area? Any idea at this point?
Yeah, we normally would have a steel building like that would have the wall packs, so they're mounted lights on the side of the building, and that would surround the building itself. I guess the gravel area we may have just maybe one or two pole lights, but it doesn't, you know, it's not really like a shopping center or something that you need illumination, you know, every little square foot. This area would be low access and you know, not a lot of public use. So I would say the lighting would be mostly around the buildings themselves.
One more question. Sure. I'm sorry, Tom. Have you gentlemen read the comments of the Conservation Board and the Highway Department? And if you have, what are your comments concerning their concerns?
Yeah, I did read through that, and I believe the road agent had mentioned that it was off of a state road, and I didn't really see that he had, you know, any kind of an issue. He just kind of mentioned that it was on a state road. The Conservation Board did say that they were not for the project, and because of the use, but you know, I think in response to that, I would say that, you know, we have no impact plan for the wetlands, and we have, you know, the access has already got a small. They crossed the narrowest point in the wetlands. So I think it's a pretty responsible use of the property and increasing the buffers. You know, so there are a lot of things in there that you know, go beyond the rules, and so I think you know, I feel pretty good about what the consistency of the project. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
Brad, this is strictly boat storage and contractor storage. No sales of any kind, nothing, no retail of any kind, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Any other comments, concerns from the board? Brad or gentlemen, any discussion or concerns before we go to public input?
Nope.
I'm all set.
Okay. All right, at this point, I'll open the hearing to any public input, and I'll open up public input in favor of the special exception for case Z 21-12. Any public input in favor of this case, Z 21-12? Okay, and I'm getting a response of no from anybody remotely or over the telephone in favor. Any public input against this proposal for a special exception in case Z 21-12? Any public input against? Okay, there's two parties that were shown being present that are against it, so if you can hear me, please, we'll have you introduce yourself, and then we'll have one speak after the other, but please introduce yourself to the board if you would.
Hi, this is Bonnie Hislop.
Hi, Bonnie.
Yeah, hi, Gerald Hislop here as well.
Okay, so it's Gerald and Bonnie. I see that you are abutters, is that correct?
Yes, we're on map 9, lot 4.
Uh-huh. Okay, we'll go forward. You raised your hand as on the computer as far as being against this proposal, so if you'd like to express your opinions in regards to this case.
Okay, well, I've just actually heard about this yesterday. I didn't get any mail, so I had to pick up this stuff at the town hall, all the paperwork, because evidently my driveway, Emerson Drive, was undeliverable. So I picked it up at the town hall.
There's a few concerns we have.
You know, we are worried about traffic, especially onto Emerson Drive. Also, during storms, it's almost impassable because all the tree trucks and commercial trucks are lined right up through there. There's I know we heard some discussion about you know, being an abutter to the electric co-op, but there's also 3 other families that live down here.
Okay.
Yeah. I do have a copy of the paperwork, which I picked up last night. The application for a special exception. And right on here, it says, David Fuller is a New Hampshire resident who has a long history of working with the town of Alton, most recently at Dobbins Brook Residential Project. Mr. Fuller has met with Jim Denver, the town's code official, and Jessica Call, the town planner, to discuss and has engaged the services of Brad Jones and Jones and Beach Engineers Incorporated. In addition to meeting with town officials, Mr. Fuller has met with the New Hampshire Department of Transportation to discuss the property and project, and is confident that the project has clear access to Route 28, Suncook Valley Road, via the 200 feet of frontage on the road. This is the other part is, moreover, and importantly, Mr. Fuller has also reached out to several abutters to the property to discuss the project and to assure the same that the property will be developed in a thoughtful manner. And I don't know any of the property abutters who have been in touch with Mr. Fuller. We haven't as well.
Okay.
And then there's a
So
few
it's your-
other things, you know, our children
And-
obviously are up there, and, you know, it's kind of, we've built a really good relationship with the co-op, and they understand everything. They understand that our children are there. So that's a big thing for me.
There's also a bus stop at the end of Emerson Drive. You know, and also, you know, the concern of boat storage. If you have a 96,000 square foot boat storage area, there's the 26,000 square foot work area to work on the boats. Because you don't have a boat, there is no boat storage area anywhere that just stores boats. Because where are you going to work on those boats? And
Those
then
boats are going to be worked on, if I may, those boats will be worked on at a marina, not at the site. They're just going to be stored at the site. And I think we discussed that Emerson Drive is not going to be a primary access point. I understand your concerns, but it's not going to be a primary access point. The driveway off of Suncook Valley Road, Route 28 is the primary access. On
Yeah,
this.
but I don't.
then why do you need a second access drive onto Emerson Drive?
That's what our concern is, because eventually that's going to turn into an access point. You know, we got our main concern is our children as well. And
understand.
and that,
Okay, if I could just intervene for 1 second here, Gerald and Bonnie.
Sure.
So, attorney, could you please introduce yourself before you?
Sure. I introduced myself at the beginning, but I will. My name is Al Schrader from Molten Borough in Lexington, Massachusetts, an attorney that represents Sadco Site Development, the applicant.
All right, sorry to cut you off, Bonnie, but your last point was that you believe Emerson, even though it doesn't show as the main access road, your comment was, in fact, your belief is that it's going to become more of that, if I understood you correctly?
yes.
And any other concerns, either from Gerald or Bonnie, and then we'll have the attorney follow up. Any other concerns?
Well, yes, there's several other concerns. There's not a big wooded line in between there. From what I'm looking at the map here, is about a 25-foot, or roughly 20-foot setback to where the 96,000 square foot building is going to go from Emerson Drive. There is almost no woods there. What I'm saying is you know, we moved down here because it's a rural area and it's private. Now there's another building going in, which is looks like it's roughly 4 times, maybe 5 times the size of the co-op area. And
It's just you know, all the lights and everything and what have you gets us concerned, I guess.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Jessica.
Hi, I just wanted to comment on a few things. My name is Jessica. I'm the town planner, and I work with the planning board for the town. And I just wanted to comment on a few things that you just had brought up. And during the planning board process, the planning board could potentially put some conditions on that access to Emerson Drive. They definitely would address that during the planning board approval process. As far as the buffer zone, that's a big issue with the planning board. So that also will be addressed with the planning board. So, you know, they like to see, you know, buffers put in place. So that's something else, you know, that definitely will be addressed with them. And as far as the lighting, they're also sticklers on lighting, you know, bothering abutters, so they require, you know, down lighting. So those are some things that definitely get looked at the planning process, and they look at that stuff pretty seriously.
Right. But there's also an issue with noise. There's a view. You know, now we look at trees right now. Now we're going to be looking at a big building. You know, and obviously an area that'll store 300 to 400 boats, there's going to be a lot of traffic. You know, you can't say there's not going to be. And on top of that is going to be construction equipment in and out of there all the time. It just doesn't look like the right area to put something like this. That, you know, there are areas that, you know, these buildings go in, and I know you're saying, you know, it's not a Walmart or anything like that, but this is a pretty big thing to go in a residential area or a rural area, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, several people that bought properties and builded homes down here and raised families, now they lose all that privacy.
I could say that, you know, my clients would be good neighbors the way the New Hampshire Electric Co-op has been a good neighbor there. They don't want to go in there and cause problems with neighbors, and they're willing to work with the planning board. What the planning board would impose upon them as to keep to keep the what's there now and keep the neighborhood intact.
Right. And, you know, as far as the New Hampshire Electric Co-op, you know, they already owned that driveway. They owned that property. You know, they let us use it. You know, that's just a right of way. So obviously they can, you know, they can put that in. They can do whatever they want with it. They're very good up there. But there's already, especially in a storm, there's extreme traffic. And, you know, but we all work together there. But and on top of that, you know, we work with the co-op about, you know, fixing up the road here and there when it needs a little bit of, you know, TLC. You know, now there's going to be higher traffic. And, you know, like I said, there's and on top of that, is it going to depreciate the value of the properties down the surrounding properties?
Okay. Gerald and Blind, just so you understand, this is your time during this public hearing to voice your opinions. In this case, you're not in favor. I'm not ignoring what you're saying, but I'm just giving you the opportunity to say what you need to say rather than answer on my behalf is not protocol. So do you have any other concerns? And then I'm going to have the other party make any comments in regards to your concerns. Any other concerns on your behalf?
No, I do not.
No, we're all set.
Okay, I did understand that there were two parties on the phone. There's one other party. If that other party could please introduce yourself. And Gerald and Bonnie, thank you very much. You can stay on the line.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yep. And is there a second party that is not in favor of this special exception for case C21-12? Could you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, good evening to the board. This is Jason Tremer, trustee of Tremer Revocable Trust, and Angela Tremer, also a trustee of Tremer Revocable Trust. We own map 9 lot 5 off of Emerson Drive. Our concern here is that Emerson Drive, that's a private drive. It's not even a town owned or a town maintained drive. So to cut a road in off of it, I mean, I assume that's all got to go through the co-op there and the residents here that also have a right of way through there. And it would have kind of been interesting if, it would have been nice if somebody would have came down and introduced themselves to us and, kind of talked to us, explain what they wanted to build down here. And, we could have kind of went from there, but, to have this all kind of thrown at us, within a day or two and then be here at a meeting, it kind of seems, just a little, just kind of thrown at us right here.
Well, Jason and Angela, much like Bonnie and Gerald, there is an abutters list. They did comply as far as what they produced for paperwork. There is a tracking code that's attached to every mailing that goes out to the abutters. Did you receive this? I know Gerald and Bonnie says theirs was, they commented theirs was not delivered. Did you receive an abutters a notification?
We did receive an abutters notification. It was only within the last few days here. So this is fairly new to us. And the notification, as you read that, it just says they want to store a boat and some contractor equipment. And then, you kind of look further into it and there's a 35-foot building that's 96,000 square feet in your backyard. We're just down here trying to raise our family with our kid.
Exactly. And we appreciate the privacy that we have currently and just weren't expecting something like this. And we really don't want it, to be honest with you, to be, full transparency. So, yeah. And, someone could have came down and talked to us. I mean, we're all good people. We could have, talked about it, but just to have a letter show up a few days ago about this is just, it's not okay. We moved out of a big city to a rural area, to have peace and privacy, and now to have, a huge building half the size of a Walmart, to look out. Right now we look out to trees and the sunsets, and now to look at a huge half the size of a Walmart, it's just not okay with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the main things here too, I think if you guys are looking at the map, we are to the right of where they want to build all this stuff. I guess that'd kind of be east maybe. But
Yeah.
there is a wetlands back there. I don't know if you guys know wetlands, but they're wet. Vegetation doesn't grow in them. So to say that you're going to, have a buffer right there, it's wet, it's water and marsh. So, that's what we're looking at. Our backyard is a 96,000 square foot, 3-story tall building.
Okay, I understand your point. In regards to a view, there is no, like there's a forest in front of you. You have low-lying wetlands, so I understand that point completely.
Right.
Yeah.
Not only that, also, just looking at their site plan here, it looks like it's going to be all gravel. That's just going to dust us out every time they pull in there with equipment. It's dusty as it is down here already with the co-op, with moving around trucks up there. This is just going to add more to it. The environmental impact, the runoff from the water that we get from the co-op down Emerson, and now to add another couple buildings up there, the watershed's going to come straight downhill. That's us.
Okay. All right.
So I guess my other concern too would be the green space buffer. I don't see that on their drawing here. Having lived here for the last almost 10 years, I know the property pretty well. And the trees just aren't there to call that a buffer.
Okay.
And
anything further, either Jason or Angela?
I think, what Jerry and Bonnie had also said, those are all valid points. Our kids live down here, our kids play down here. So we're not the type of people that want to tell somebody what they can and can't do on their property, but there's plenty of commercial properties available in this town, that are ready to go for this kind of a building. If somebody wants to come in and build a house next to me here, raise their family with us, hey, we're all good with that. But, to have this kind of a building and impact down here, it's not fair to us. And it depreciates the value of our house.
All right, are there any other parties as I'm looking? No, okay, so we've heard from the two parties. Thank you very much, Jason and Angela, and thank you, Gerald and Bonnie, for your comments. They've all been duly noted by the board and by the parties here that Jones and Beach is representing. Any comments from Brad or the attorney in regards to these abutters?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think this is good to have this conversation. We do a lot of work in town and we do a design, we put a lot of thought and effort into it. And we did on our own before we came here, showed it's over 120-foot buffer and the town only requires a 25. So that wooded buffer, and that's in between the wetland area that will grow up, and it's going to be something that can be maintained but not clear cut. So that'll thicken up, and so we also can look at the Emerson Drive access. We do want to leave that to the planning board to. We do see there's possible need for, emergency equipment and fire department and that type of thing to access through there. So we'd want to, right now it's shown in the plan, but it's not, we have no intention, or the developer has no intention to bring boats in that way. They're going to all come in off of Route 28 through the highway. And you remember, these boats will all come in more or less at once. I mean, it's going to be in the fall, and within a month, all the boats will be buttoned up, put into the storage building. And then in the spring, the same process will happen, and all the bolts will be taken out. So, I mean, it might be a month and a half. And then those buildings will stay quiet, and then there won't be traffic. And then kind of like in a storm situation, I don't think they would, any kind of winter storm, there would be no movement because the boats would be secured. And then, if it was a thunderstorm or a big storm event, I don't think you'd be moving boats. You would halt the process. So, and once again, it won't be Emerson Drive. It'll be off of Route 28. But my point is that this plan needs to evolve, and we will, do our best. And we have no problem meeting with the abutters too, and prior to going to the planning board, and have a discussion and work out, some ideas, and maybe, get a look at the property and look at together. We have no problem doing that. We'd actually appreciate doing that.
Okay. All right. At that point, anything else from the abutters, Jason, Angela, and Gerald or Bonnie? Okay, at this point, I'll close the hearing to any public input. Thank you very much, both families, expressing your thoughts, which were all duly noted for the entire group here. That's the reason we have these public hearings, so we can hear from all parties, whether in favor or against. But at this point, the hearing will be closed to any public input. Are there any questions or discussions from the board at this point?
Those occasions when there's been a survey made of the people of Alton for master planning purposes or other purposes, one of the things that people have expressed is that one of the things about the town that they want to retain is the rural character. And this strikes me as a very large project in a rural area.
I concur with that thought process. It was brought up by one of the abutters. There are commercial property that is in the town that certainly would lend itself to this kind of enterprise. I'm a little surprised that the applicant going into a rural area where there are homes abutting it, and just the thought process that size of a building, I mean, we're not talking a small building here, It's 96,000 square feet, 36 feet in the air. There's wetlands that does not, you can't buffer it, okay? You can't shield it or hide it. And what my real concern is, you know, in discussions with the board is, these homeowners built thinking that this was going to be rural land. It is still rural land. And where special exception is to change it into a commercial property. The homeowners didn't buy into that when they were buying their land and put their homes on. And that's a concern. And now I'm concerned that if this is built, what will be the value of their homes? What will be the value of their homes going forward? If they want to sell that home, certainly prospective buyers would look at that and say, do I really want to live next door to a commercial property that they didn't buy into? I have some concerns about that.
I agree. I have concerns as well, and listening to the abutters, exactly like you just stated, that these people came out looking for a rural area to raise their children. They bought these homes. They weren't looking for a commercial area, commercial storage, or if you will, the look of an industrial area. Although I understand, and we have the electric co-op there, which has been there. They get along very well, from what I hear from the abutters, with the electric co-op. But their concern is heavy traffic on Emerson Drive. That being said, I mean, they have children. They have concerns with the buffer zone, noise, lighting, and yes, those can be addressed by the planning board, but can be addressed satisfactorily. And the major concern is, no, we don't have an actual amount of value properties that would be decreased by this, but I'm sure it wouldn't be good.
And is this consistent with what Mr. Morgan said about the master? You know, I see this as inconsistent with the master plan. And everything about the master plan, you know, in terms of, we designated commercial areas, industrial areas, rural, and it's up to the townspeople to change that during, you know, in our warrant articles. I think we would be serving a disservice on this board by allowing this particular special exception. I just do. I think it's over and above the limits. My personal opinion. Yeah, but I'm very concerned about value. Very concerned about the vehicle traffic. You know, I don't know of any boat storage that doesn't have service work, you know, at it somewhere. Maybe there is, but certainly traffic and value of these homes, we would question whether or not we would be doing our
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may, I would like to request that we would, that the applicant could withdraw their application at this time. And with the ability to reach out to the neighbors and hopefully refile and have an agreement with them and come to some mutual satisfactory decision.
I think in light of the abutters' objections to this project, you know, there's not a bad guy in this whole meeting. It's what we are intended to do as a zoning board is to have an open, honest discussion, which we have. And you did a lot of background and a lot of good technical work. And that's why we had the public hearing to hear from the abutters, who it's certainly going to adversely affect, as it's been duly noted for a couple different comments here. So I understand your point to withdraw application Z21-12. Would anybody like to put forward a motion as far as withdrawing application Z21-12 or an approval of them withdrawing case Z21-12 for a special exception in the rural area? Okay.
You're moving to, I'm so moving to his motion.
Frank Rich, aye.
Morgan, aye.
Tom Lee, aye.
Paul Rochelle, aye.
All right, gentlemen, Brad and your team, we have so forth withdrew per your request case Z21-12 at this point. And you're going to do some further due diligence on behalf of the concerns of the abutters, and that will end this case. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good evening.
Yep.
Right.
Good night.
Good night. And Amelia, is the,
Are they still on? No.
all right, well, baptism by fire, I guess.
Hey,
No, I think
did a great job there, Mr.
Fantastic.
Chairman. Okay? I have a technical, okay? One of the applicants, not one of the, one of the homeowners, Bonnie and Gerald, said they did not receive
yesterday.
till yesterday. Which I think brings a point.
No, they said it was undeliverable, and then they came to town hall to get it, which,
Undeliverable.
he didn't say this, but I assume they heard from their other neighbors.
It's just a question, and I think maybe, where's Monsignor when I need him? Okay, but Tim, if, as a board, how are we assured, I know that, how do we make sure that we're assured that all, abutters have been notified? Okay, now, we know that they went, we know that our team does a good job of sending them out.
Amelia, Amelia can answer that for you.
Yeah, right, they get certified mail, and they're supposed to get mail, some sort of a receipt back, right, on certified mail. But what if somebody is not notified? How are we gonna know?
Well, in this case, Amelia, you received back return to sender, right?
Sometimes, I've been getting them back a month late.
Okay, and they have to go out at a certain period of time.
Yes, I send them out even earlier than what our timeline is.
Okay.
Because of the mail situation, things were coming back late, people weren't getting it the day after, even with certified. So I started sending them out on the same timeline as planning board. So they go out about 12 days.
Okay.
Give or take 12, 15 days.
So did this one, in fact, for the Boyle party, did that come back?
It has not. I printed out, Jessica has it in the file. I printed out, I searched the certified tracking number, and USPS said that there was no authorized recipient at the mailbox.
Okay.
But their neighbor, their mailbox was our side by side. So they were unclear why it didn't get delivered to their mailbox, but their neighbor got theirs. So I printed everything for them.
Yeah, in some cases, if there's not a number and a name, they won't even put it in there. So, okay.
All right, so can I just
Yes.
comment? I'm gonna just elaborate a little bit more on what Amelia was saying. So the town's legal obligation is normally a 5-day notice. Like she said, we
Yeah.
send them out a lot
Yeah.
earlier. So our obligation is to make sure and ensure that they get into the mail. We can't
Can't do any more.
anything more
No.
other than that. So if they never receive a notice, they receive it the day before, they receive it the week before, like that, you can't control that. So the only thing, and when we receive an abutters list with an application, it is the obligation of the applicant to submit a proper and complete abutters list. As a courtesy, the office goes through that list and, compares it with the tax map and the assessing database to make sure that it's a complete list, everything's spelled right, names are proper, trusts are listed, addresses are right. I mean, we do that as a courtesy, and a lot of times there are errors. So, we definitely go above and beyond to make sure that every single abutter is sent a notice properly for every application.
And it's an assumption that I make, and might be a naive assumption, obviously, at this point, but when I look at that abutters list, and I see the tracking numbers and all that, and they say, and I'm not here to say that being dishonest, there was no response negatively back from abutters, which they probably didn't get, that's fine.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of rest assured that the abutters were notified.
Yes.
And I guess it's not beholden to us to go knock on doors and double
You
check.
can only do so much.
You only do
You can only do so much to notify.
So, this is perfectly understandable that we can only do so much.
Yeah.
So my next question is, we approve something, okay? And one of the abutters finds out and says, I was never notified.
I think that would mean the application was subject to collateral attack. I think they could attack it.
Could they attack our acceptance of that because they were not notified, or they claim that they were not notified, and if we can't prove that they were notified, okay, is that subject to an attack on?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's potential, you can always research the tracking number with the post office and see what happened with that letter, but, abutters have that 30-day appeal period.
And I think we're all under the same opinion, I'll assume we all are, but, a project of this scope and size, going into a rural area, the first order of business, not even being on the zoning board, I would knock on every door and have a cup of tea and coffee with every single neighbor.
I was gonna say that. I was very surprised they did not approach the neighbors and have a
I
conversation.
asked the question, and David Fuller said no.
Right.
Did not contact them. Yet in what was given to John and Jessica, said that they did have conversations with the abutters.
They did not.
They did. He said no.
He said no.
Yeah, the only conversation at the very beginning was that landowner, Matarazzo, has a very good relationship with them, which I'm sure it was a good relationship until a mini Walmart was going in.
There was never any conversation with either one of them about it. Okay, that's the whole point. Okay, that's just unbelievable. You're gonna put this kind of thing in here, okay? It's in a rural area and you don't go to the, you don't go to the neighbors?
At any rate, at this time, they did the right move by withdrawing their application.
Well, but the
And giving,
attorney,
and they know, they saw what was happening.
oh yeah, the attorney did.
And they need to reapproach.
It could still be workable. They
Yes, it
could
could be.
move those buildings around, they could adjust size, they could put a bigger buffer, and they
Yes.
could not access Emerson at all. This could still be workable,
I'm sure.
but they should have done some due diligence with those.
With the neighbors and the abutters, and that's a major concern of mine and this board.
I think it was a wise decision on the attorney's part to immediately, because he knew where this was going.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and, they want another swipe at it. Now, hopefully they'll get.
Now they'll have the support.
My only
If they
question
have
is,
their support.
following the protocol, well, the supposed protocol, we have the public input, close the public input, at that point, should we went right to the worksheet? I mean, we do have discussion. And I think the discussion in some cases, Tim or Paul on zoning has stepped in and actually put it out there and said, waved the flag and said, hey, you might want to take this and think about it. So I'm just playing it through my head, but it worked out fine.
It worked out well.
It's one of the reasons I stepped up and said that I'm very concerned, and I was hoping I would hear more commentary from the board, and I'm glad I did. Okay, but Tim started it right from the get-go, and I think it was important because they needed to hear, because if we had gone right to the worksheet.
I, for one, didn't want to go to the worksheet yet.
I think that was appropriate, in my opinion. I
Okay.
think
That was very
did a great job.
I think the way it turned out was the only way it could turn out without being confused.
When you have this kind of controversy with neighbors, there needs to be board discussion to make sure that all constituents, the applicant and the people that are for and against it, see that the board is having serious discussions on what was being said, you know? Very important. So I think we did all the right things, and thank you, Jessica, you know?
Yep.
You know,
Oh, thank you, everybody.
We asked the right questions. We came up with a few concerns. We heard more concerns by the abutters, and which we were already asking some of the questions on lighting, sewage, on parking. Was it going to be year-round, only temporary, in traffic? These were our concerns.
And a lot of that certainly has to do with the planning board, but we know that there's, just like we had in the last, the case that was down on Route 11, we didn't have enough information to make a conscious decision based on how could we have made that any kind of a decision based on the information that we had, okay? We had more information here, no question about it, okay? But not to not discuss that with the neighbors first.
Right.
That's not right.
There's one more thing we didn't touch on. And I was going to bring it up later in another part of the discussion, and that was road traffic analysis in the school. School traffic, the buses, people driving to school, going into the school. We never discussed the school. What time, what's right across the street from the school? What the time the buses are coming in and out of there? Are there going to be jam up traffic with boat traffic coming in to store their boats? Right across the street from the school. We didn't even discuss that, and that was the next thing I was going to bring up.
It's massive. We live we abut 28A, Paul and I, and just the boat traffic back and forth to Irwin's up the hill by the dump. As they're bringing the boats back and forth, it's nonstop for a period of weeks, obviously, and then you see it again in the fall. This is a very high traffic area. That's why I've seen this state, the department, DOT and such, but all right. I didn't want to belabor it, but thank you, everybody. Other business, move on here. Any previous business? We have some new business.
Oh, yeah.
And new business, Jessica.
Okay,
I think you had about 5 or 6 criteria.
Yeah, so, I'll make it brief. So I just wanted to let you know, I'm already reaching out to ZBA committee members. Hopefully we're starting up in June. Over the past year or so, I've come up with a good couple of pages worth of good things to address at the ZBA committee. And I wanted to confirm, is it you or potentially Mike that's going to be the ZBA representative?
I am.
You are?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So, either June 9th or the 23rd is what we're shooting for.
Yeah, either one's
Do you have a
fine.
preference?
Nope.
Either one, perfect.
Yeah.
Check. And I think you had gotten that.
Yes, I did. Either day.
Yeah. Okay, so it was just brief, that's that committee. Update on the alternative housing committee. So we finally had our first meeting. That was a little tough to finally get to that. So we talked about a variety of things. So we talked about differences between, what's a tiny house, what's a cabin colony, Do we want it to be seasonal? Do we want it to be a year-round residential? So, we really, that was a great discussion. And, I think we really threw a lot out there, and there's a lot to work with.
And and a park that will accept, a tiny home that is actually mobile.
Yeah.
Whether mobile that's seasonal, not just a cabin that's, seasonal, that is permanent, but something that's movable from state to state.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variables there.
Yeah, so that's a pretty exciting committee, and I can't wait to see what comes out of that in the long run. Just wanted to share, CIP committee is looking for some citizen members to sit on the committee, so if you can, you talk to people that you know in town. Frank is gonna sit on it again, we're on the third year, thank you, Frank.
Good job.
So, I just wanted to throw that out there.
How many citizen people do you usually take? One?
So originally, we had 2 when the CIP kind of started, and then a couple years ago, we upped it to 4. We had so many people that were interested, so we kind of left it at 4. So we're really looking for 3 right now, and I have 2 potential applications coming in on top of Frank, so good, and I just put the notice out there. And Dropbox, have you been using Dropbox with stuff that Amelia sends out?
Yep.
Okay.
I only, for some reason, I have trouble on my computer, but I do on my cell phone. I can get into it okay with my cell phone.
So with the planning board, I've been using Dropbox since, say, January, February or so. And we're using it for the master plan committee. And I'm gonna use it for CIP, Zach, and start using it for all the committees. And there are a handful of members that don't even get paper packets anymore. Just look at everything online, saves time, saves resources, things like that. But then there were a couple of the planning board members that wondered, hey, I don't mind looking at Dropbox, at a meeting instead of getting a paper packet, but I don't really want to use my own personal laptop or my own personal tablet. So with discussions I've had with Josh, our IT guy, we've been throwing around a bunch of things. So I think what we boiled down to is, and he's talked to Liz, and potentially we're gonna request that the selectmen do up a warrant article to purchase 10, maybe 10, I don't know the number, but to purchase tablets for the members' seats, not the individual members themselves, but maybe buy, say, 10 of them, dock them here somewhere, so that way, when a board or a committee begins, you can go and grab your tablet, sit there, go through Dropbox, dock it when you're all done, next committee comes in, they use the same tablets, everybody has their own login and password information, and, we're kind of up with the times, it's efficient. And, I didn't know if you guys would be interested in that, and,
Yeah, absolutely.
if I could get a recommendation from you guys, and I can add you to my memo from the planning board that, we're interested in, having the selectmen put out a warrant article to foster that.
Some people like to, as we said in the past, read a newspaper, so if you want paper copies, they'd be afforded that, but others could come here and just look at it at home and then come here and take a tablet.
Changing
Yep.
and just
Yeah.
between the social media and doing that as well.
Exactly.
I know, some of the boards are coming and approaching the selectmen more and more to
Yeah.
be able to access and use or have a page on Facebook.
Yeah.
But for, educational purposes only, not to respond on,
Right.
to put things out.
And I know ours has been helpful,
Yes,
and
it has.
especially with the master plan,
Mhm.
coming up, that Facebook page is gonna be huge. So yeah, I just wanted to see what you guys thought about the
Yeah.
potential
Oh,
use
excellent.
of a tablet, whether you use it or
I
not.
don't see that.
Maybe you don't use it now, but then, you get interested in using it in the future.
The control piece here,
I don't use them.
yeah, the control piece here is a must, because otherwise it gets out of hand.
Right.
It literally gets out of hand. I mean,
Yeah.
I lost mine, I dropped it, my daughter
Exactly.
used it,
So then they're just, everyone's using the same tablets,
Yeah.
and if they don't go
Simple.
anywhere.
Sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that it?
Good.
I say we make a motion to keep John out of this meeting. John anymore.
John who?
Exactly. Okay, so the approval, thank you, Jessica, the approval of the minutes. So we have two sets of them. We have one from the March 4th and one from April. So if we, March 4th, we had Frank here, Paul, Monzioni Paul, La Rochelle, Tim Morgan, and Mike Hepworth. I was not here, so if you guys want to go through the March 4th minutes, I don't know if there's any corrections.
I looked through it, I didn't see anything. Didn't check spelling, like some people I know. I make a motion to approve the March 4th, 2021 minutes.
Second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Paul LaRochelle, aye.
Frank Rich, aye.
Morgan, aye.
Tom Lee, aye, on approval of the March 4th zoning board minutes. And now the, yeah, that's right. Yeah, can I approve them if I wasn't here? I can't approve them, but I can,
You can, you just would abstain from the vote.
abstain from the vote, right?
Yep.
Gotcha. And going forward to the April 1st, 2021 minutes.
Didn't find any changes to these either, but I thought it was a nice change that we started to include some of the rationale for each of the
Yes.
various votes. I think that's a good addition to the minutes.
It's very important.
It is.
On that, unless anybody has any changes, I would make a motion to approve the minutes of April 1st as set forth.
Okay, got a second, all in favor?
Paul LaRochelle, aye.
Frank Rich, aye.
Tom Lee, aye.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment that these minutes get better and better?
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Well, great.
I'll let Jennifer know.
Okay.
Just planning.
Oh, I thought it was you. I take back what I said.
Okay, good.
I will tell Jennifer, thank you.
Yeah,
She does a good job.
She's really very nice job, and thank her for us.
I sure
Okay,
will.
thank you.
The most important matter, usually, most cases, correspondence. Do we have any correspondence? No. And,
I gave you new business.
yeah, it was great new business.
That's all right, that's okay.
You know, I know, right?
We can go.
We never get correspondence.
No, we don't.
There are prisoners that get more correspondence than we do.
Valid point. Any further discussion? Otherwise, we can go for a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Morgan, aye.
Tom Lee, aye.
Paul LaRochelle, aye.
Frank Rich, aye.
That's it, folks. Thank you very much.
Aye.
Amelia, Jessica.
Chairman, great job.
Good job.
Ellen,
I'll tell you.
yeah.